Hail and Mage's Kingdom, welcome to Dragon Age Veilguard. It's me, Spaza King, and today I present you my new kinda Necromancer Warlock build for Dragon Age. But first of all, I got a question for you. You think in Dragon Age you need a specialization, right?
Wrong.
Today I will show you extremely broken build without any specialization. Yeah, you actually can go for the Scholar, or you can actually pick any specialization you like later on in the game, but to make this build work you don't need any specialization. So, what you need is the right gear and correct companions, of course. But we start as always with the right skill tree. So that's how we're leveling. I will explain you each category and where we go, why we go. But the main idea for this build is to make our character inflict damage by doing damage over time effects, or as you know them, DOTs. Very popular build for Warlocks in World of Warcraft and other RPG games. Basically, we will inflict some damage to enemies and they will take damage over time while we're destroying them by just running around. Now when you know the idea, let me explain what skills we will use first. So, one of our skills will be Chain Lightning, and it's a skill that can apply shock to our enemies. While it's really powerful skill, it's not our main skill to inflict dots, especially in the early and mid game while we're still leveling. And Corrupted Ground will be main skill for us. It will apply Weaken to our targets and will deal necrotic damage over time, which is really great, so we got two effects already. By the way, Weakened means enemies will deal less damage to us, while Chain Lightning will apply Overwhelm, and they will take additional stagger. Very important because they will take more stagger from electric damage over time, from shocked condition, from the same skill, so it's pretty powerful skill for us. And last but not least is Dark Squall. It's the skill that can detonate Thunder effect, and also it can apply Shield on impact, which means the enemies will take cold damage over time. But that's not it, we will also be able to apply Bleed with our abilities, and that makes our character is basically able to deal almost every dot in the game. Also we can apply Burning with our ultimate, so we can basically apply 5 dots over time. But let's explain what we use over here and what skills we learn in early game. As I told you, main skill will be Corrupted Ground, and that's the first skill we want to go for. And that's why I like to start with Mind Blast. You can hold your block button and then tap your heavy attack, and it will blast enemies away from you. Very useful when you want to try to run away from enemies while defeating them with dots. Then we continue into Charging Spirit to generate passively stuff energy when we are not in combat. That's pretty nice, so we can enter the combat with energized stuff for really heavy attack. And we get our first ability, Frost Nova. So it's area control ability, we freeze our enemies and they will be frozen, they will stand still. Very useful in early game again. And also I recommend getting this note over here, damage versus frozen plus 15%. So it's nice power spike for our damage. And then we're just going to the left part, so we're getting physical resistance plus 10%. Getting Dash Frost, abilities that deal necrotic damage or cold will increase the damage type for 6 seconds. And we're basically going into necrotic damage plus 10%, then executing a detonation on enemy will grant us shocking weapons to deal additional shock damage with our basic attacks. Getting primer duration plus 20%, we don't care about this node exactly, but we need it to get to Corrupted Ground. So here we will unlock our main basically damaging combo in early game and early mid game, while we're still unlocking later skills. And also you want to pick this node. Upgrading area abilities, radius will be increased by 50%. And on this type of the game, basically you will play like this. You will engage combat, you will cast this area control ability that will make enemies frozen, they will stuck in one place. And while they're standing together, they are frozen, you deal an additional damage versus them, you cast Corrupted Ground. They will stand frozen on Corrupted Ground, take necrotic damage over time. It will be increased because it's frozen enemies, because we casted cold ability just beforehand, and basically we're dealing with a lot of enemies pretty easily at this point of the game. So that's our starting build. For around level 6-7 you will be able to play like this. And also you will have energized stuff all the time, so you can basically make this combo, make heavy attack by holding your triangle button on PlayStation and basically destroy all enemies as you like. Pretty powerful stuff. Now let's zoom back a little bit and see what's going on here in this tree. Basically, we need to go to the bottom left, counterclockwise, we need to go clockwise to the bottom right, and we got close circle and outwards circle. And basically how you want to advance through this build in the mid-game while you're leveling, even in early game, you just want to unlock skills first. So one of our skills will be over here to the right side, and it's Chain Lightning, and to the top right it will be Dark Squall, our cold skill for shield effect. And you get two options how you can achieve this. Basically what I recommend doing is to actually get this mana regeneration recovery skill and get Chain Lightning instantly, so you unlock the skill pretty fast. And then get back to your Frost Nova, unlock Frost Shield, so enemies who will hit you, they will be chilled, they will be slowed basically. Get damage versus armor plus 20%, Imbued Takedown to perform takedown and get shocking weapons. You won't do a lot of takedowns with this build, but whatever. Get this Affliction damage plus 10%. To increase damage of your dots. Afflictions is basically your dot effect, so damage over time effects. And get your skill Dark Squall. So now you will be basically completely equipped with the best abilities for this build to make this work, and it will be around level like 15 or so, even earlier if you find a lot of wolf statues. Make sure to get this upgrade of control abilities. Control abilities will increase additional stack for each affliction, and Dark Squall is control ability. So from this point of the game, you're basically changing your abilities, and you're starting with Chain Lightning to increase stagger build-up, to inflict shocked condition, instantly cast your Corrupted Ground and inflict necrosis on the enemy, and then you finish with your Dark Squall projectile control ability that will apply shield and also boost stacks of shocked and necrosis. So that's where base of the build is ready. But all other nodes is really important to increase damage that we're dealing with our damage over time effects. So that's basically leveling in the mid game. You just pick a path that you're seeing on the screen right now and go over this path. It doesn't matter which path you pick first actually, because you will gain benefits in every direction. But that's how I recommend approach this leveling process. First of all, Dark Squall is control ability. It means it got no mana cost, but it have cooldown of 60 seconds. That's a large cooldown, that's why I can go in on top first. So, from the Frost Nova node, we get in Fate Reflex, so we can make perfect dodge and get some benefits of slowed time. And we get in left and right, so it will be primer duration, and radius of area abilities will be increased by 50%, and also advantage duration plus 20%, with control abilities will grant deflects on critical hits. So pretty nice stuff and nice buff, especially on harder difficulties. When you take damage, you regenerate 5 mana, pretty useful in early mid-game too, but completely will be no problem in later stages of the game, so you can even like unlearn this stuff later when you're leveling. And you got access to this Ice Blast too, and we got cold damage plus 10% over here, and getting Ice Blast. So we're not using Ice Blast, and some people asking me in comments, why do we need abilities when we're leveling? And here's why. Basically, when you learn any ability, you will get passive ability damage plus 15%. So it's pretty nice to increase damage of your other abilities, just like that. Then get plus 100 health, or more mana regeneration rate. Get this stuff whenever you defend against attack. Staff energy is recharged by 25%, so it's pretty useful when you're not running away from enemies, you're just standing still, you're holding your block button and getting staff energies and pushing enemies away with your heavy attack. And it will have this nice note over here. Control abilities cooldown will be lowered by 20%, which is really great in my opinion. So now we can make our combos more and more often. Now it's time to increase damage of our afflictions, and we can go to the left part. So here for each active advantage we increase damage dealt by 10%. We will have some advantages with our gear and some notes. Again, if you're basically landing a critical strike with your control abilities, you will gain deflect, which is advantage, and will instantly increase damage of all our damage over time effects by 10%. Pretty nice buff over here. We already should have all nodes over here, and we can just pick top, like farthest left part or closest circle over here. So farther left will give us more necrosis stacks +1, great stuff to increase basically ability to inflict more necrosis stacks. Deal more stagger to enemies with afflictions, and that's pretty nice to make takedowns from time to time, it will occur. And affliction damage +10%, so instantly will increase damage of our afflictions pretty easily. Then we're getting this note on closer circle, range attack damage +15%. You won't use a lot of range attacks with this build, but whatever, maybe you like to use range attacks and it's completely fine. But we need to take this degrade, deal 5% bonus damage for each unique primer and affliction on your target, and that's the best like damage amplifier for us also at the same time. So as you can see, we basically in like 3-4 levels in the mid game getting insane damage boost, because now we get a lot of primers, and if you don't know, primers is basically weakened, sundered, overwhelm effects, stuff like that you can detonate, and we got basically all afflictions in the game, so we will deal a lot of bonus damage and our afflictions will deal more damage basically. So that's a nice boost. And affliction duration +20%. I guess it's self-explanatory. You will basically deal more damage if dots stay for longer. At this point you will be completely broken and destroy everyone. What we can do now? Basically we can go to the right side finally. So I assume that we have everything over here. You can have mana regeneration +15%, abilities gain 15% bonus damage based on the damage of your orb, maximum mana +50%, and you can actually like destroy this node right now, so if you're still having it. We will have this ability to perform takedown and get mana and stuff energy, pretty nice stuff. More shield stacks, again, it's pretty smart to being able to deal like more shield stacks on the enemy. I like this node. We can tap light attack button when we launch in basic attack to deal double bolt basically, so we deal double attack, pretty nice stuff. We're getting fire resistance just to go on the outer circle over here. So we're getting 10 resistance to the damage type of each mapped ability, pretty nice, we'll have a lot of resistances this way. We're getting staff recharge rate, and we're also getting Tempest ability, again to increase our ability damage, and also to get electric damage +10% to increase shocked damage. Now, hitting enemies with at least 3 stacks of shocked causes chain lightning. That's deal damage to 2 additional targets, and that's pretty great stuff because we will easily deal 3 stacks on shocked on enemies, and now we can deal a lot of basic damage by spamming our light attack button, and it will launch extra attacks, it will deal a lot of extra chain lightnings basically all over the time, and more maximum shocked stacks for more damage over time effects. Then you can get this takedown damage +15% and take 15% less damage from enemies who are shocked if you need some protection, especially if you're playing on harder difficulties. Or you can go over here, charge attack damage +10%, you actually don't need it, but whatever. Then abilities that deal fire damage will increase electric and vice versa. Again, we don't need it. That's why that's the last part where you want to go when you're leveling. It's pretty like super late game-ish. Some final steps and your build is already broken. You're already pretty powerful guy. You can have this medium armor mastery. We will wear medium armor, basically medium helmet and medium armor, which makes medium armor set. And we will have more damage with final, agile, critical attacks, like nice damage buff in late game. Also, perfect defense grants shocking weapons, nice stuff. You can tap your defense button exactly when you are hit. It will count as perfect defense, you will get this buff for more shocking damage with your light attacks. Penetration +15%, again pretty nice against armored enemies or enemies with high resistances, and also performing in takedown grants some health and ultimate. this is not really like super important stuff over here, and we already got everything we need. So we don't need to buff our abilities. You can have this keen sight, upgrade control abilities to inflict some extra damage in radius, basically, but we don't have a lot of control abilities. What you actually can get is this channeled thoughts. You can hold block button and generate mana, but basically we're getting it to get the scholar specialization. Again, we don't need specialization for this build. We can get some like skills over here, increase our necrotic damage plus 10%, and we can upgrade duration abilities when we defeating enemies under effects of duration abilities. They will spawn some necrotic bolts, and just if you think you don't need something from here, you can like remove some nodes and get some points in dash color specialization, but it's completely irrelevant. What is relevant and what is important is our gear, of course. So let's talk about gear. First of all, we need the bargain, insane stuff, and this stuff will make any ability spend health instead of mana at a like high cost. So when you achieve and when you get the bargain, you won't ever need mana. You will just cast abilities as your health. You will get ways to replenish your health, so don't worry. And if you're having problems to find the bargain and other uniques in this build, I got a great video that shows every unique location in the game. Make sure to watch it, link in the description. And we're going to our stuff and orb and dagger, of course. So orb and dagger, why do we even need them? What we use? For main damage dealing purposes, we will use our stuff. But here's the point. You can actually play with orb and dagger pretty easily. You can even change them, but all benefits from your stuff will work when you're wearing orb and dagger, and vice versa. Not all, but some of them will work, and that's why I like Shield Grasp. Again, we will run around, we will inflict damage with damage over time, so we need to survive. And here's the point. We will be able to increase our defense instantly by having this Shield Grasp. We will have cold resistance, perfect dodge will apply shield to nearby enemies, and basically you just need to press a wait button when they are trying to attack you and they will be shielded, and you will instantly have 70 defense against shield enemies. So just look at our defense right now, it's 240, and you will have basically around like 25% of this defense completely for free. So that's insane. 25% more defense just by pressing one dodge. And that's it. For our knife slot, I'm using sharpened dragon bone. So it have penetration, but most importantly, on perfect defense, you will gain rally party, which is advantage. And basically, if you can time your block and gain this perfect defense, gain this rally party, you will deal a lot more damage. And also, when Rally Party is active, your companions will have lower cooldown. I think that's great knife for our build, but there's another option, which is I really like. Spellcaster's Stiletto, you will have more mana generation, great early game stuff, more defense, again, ability to defend enemies is great stuff, and also if you upgrade it to legendary tier, you can gain defense per active advantage. We'll have a lot of advantages as well as damage over time effects, so you can get a lot of extra defense at the same time, which is great. Now, to make everything work, you need this medium armor set, and this will be Moon Watch set, basically dash mask with researcher's code. What I mean by Moon Watch, so if you want to find all the gear for uniques, we got different video. We got basically the video where I show each location, but for stuff like Shield Grasp and Sharpened Dragon Bone, Shield Grasp is basically a random drop, something like this, but Sharpened Dragon Bone is Lords of Fortune weapon. So if you want this knife, the best way to find it is to go on the map, find Lords of Fortune area. It will be Hall of Valor, it will be Rivian Coast, and for other factions it will be like Trivisa for Antibian Crows and so on. And just make some quests, companion quests, side quests in this location. It will give you more likely chances that you will find the stuff in the chests. So for Moonwatch stuff, for Moonwatch set. Basically, you need to go into Necropolis. You can buy it from traders. Some parts will be in chests, in random drops and stuff like that. So we got a Dash Mask over here. It's epic tier right now, but you want it no matter what, because from the first level you will get affliction damage 25%, which is great when we deal in damage over time effects. Then we get an affliction duration, again insane stuff, and at epic tier you can have more affliction damage relative to Mournwatch light strength. This means again you need to complete a lot of quests in Mournwatch area, get more light strength, and basically will deal a lot of damage over time effects. I haven't tested it with legendary tier, so applying 3 unique afflictions triggering explosion that deals damage relative to total stacks. So I don't know, is this actually a good stuff, but I would say probably even it's nice not to upgrade it to legendary. So the next item we got on the list is Researcher's Code. More damage at low health and leech 5% of your damage as health. That's how we will replenish health basically. So we apply a lot of damage over time effects, we use our health instead of mana for it because of our weapon, the bargain, but we will instantly replenish all the health because we will deal some damage with magics and a lot of damage with damage over time effects. And all of our effects will inflict damage over time to multiple targets. So we will leech all of this damage and our lifesteal is pretty nice. And also when you upgrade this stuff even more, I mean this code of course, you will have defense increased by 1 for each % of missing health, and leech effectiveness is tripled versus bleeding enemies if you upgrade it to legendary like tier, but whatever, you don't need it. So for our belt, again it's Mournwatch belt, it's Dashworn drops. You can apply Siphon to enemies on potion use, and that's another secret trick. And Siphon is basically stuff that will deal necrotic damage over time, like necrosis, but it will return a portion of it as healing. So it's basically like life-stealing necrosis. When you upgrade this belt, you can also increase Siphon duration and increase leech during Siphon. This belt, in combination with all other stuff, will greatly give us ability to replenish our health, and basically that's another like damage over time effect in our combination. We just need to go and press our belt button when we are nearby of enemies or when they come into us, and they will be instantly inflicted with another damage over time effect. Since we're relying a lot on our abilities to deal damage and not to deal damage with abilities, but we want to cast them as much as possible while afflictions is still in duration, so we'll apply more stacks of this affliction, I like Hala's Grace Amulet. It's Wheel Jumper Amulet with quickened duration, quickened effectiveness, and quickened on every 5th ability use. So we will use some abilities, we will gain quickened, and quickened will reduce cooldown of other abilities. Pretty great stuff. Then we got another Mournwatch ring, it's Necrotic Jade, more necrosis damage, more damage versus enemies suffering from necrosis, and more necrosis duration, with more necrosis stacks when you upgrade it. So pretty nice stuff. And another unique Marsh or Mash of the Black City, I don't know how to pronounce it, but basically your ability damage is always critical hit. Using ability consumes 20% of your maximum health as physical damage. So why do we need this ring? Because we can augment it to apply bleeding on ability critical hit. Now, whenever we deal any ability, we basically will apply bleeding condition. When we cast control ability, it will grant deflect instantly, which is advantage, which will increase our damage. And basically this ring will wrap up all the build. We will deal extra bleed on enemies, which is insane. And let's talk about augments actually. So, plus 15 damage at high health for bargain. Again, we will be at high health most of the time, so why not to deal extra damage just by running around. I haven't tested a lot augmentations on knife and orb, but basically I got damage at low health over here and armor damage at my knife, just some nice bonuses. Then on Mask we got flat defense, 30 flat defense and plus 10% defense on armor. Again, we got such high defense, that's why I like to basically invest in it and get as much defense as possible so we can stay at high health and be protected from enemy attacks. On our amulet we got necrosis damage augmentation, and on second ring plus 25% area ability damage. Also we got some runes. So for runes I got flat health, just some more health, you know, for survivability. I got ultimate generation and also mana generation over here. Is this great runes? Actually you can pick like any runes you like. Leech effectiveness is great. Yeah, actually I don't need mana regeneration from now on when I got full build. Maybe there is more runes in this game. As far as I found, basically they are pretty random. So anything for your afflictions will be great, but basically you just don't care too much. You can increase types of damage that we inflicted, like electricity damage, to increase shock damage, like necrotic damage and stuff like that. So you can play a lot with runes, but build will work no matter what. But don't forget we got augments on abilities, and for our chain lightning we got added chains. So added chains will basically give us ability to hit more enemies with chain lightning and inflict more shock on our enemies. For corrupted ground we got more life leech. I like to keep my health high on this build, and life leech is a great stuff. Otherwise you can get something like more area, more duration, like whatever you like. And for Dark Squall we got minus 15% cooldown reduction. Again, we don't have mana cost over here, and we want to reduce cooldown as much as possible on this ability. For my ultimate I'm using basic destructive light to apply burning on the enemies. And if you got a lot of like skill points left, maybe you're not investing in dash color, you actually can have nodes over here to increase burning stacks, which is also pretty nice stuff, but you won't need it a lot. I promised to explain companions, and that's basically companions that we can use for this build. While basic combination of mage and tank like Bilara and Darwin will work greatly, and we can use Darwin. He can detonate weakened, and with Crafter's Trapping he will be able to keep enemies weakened after detonation, so it's pretty fun stuff. I like to use Emmerich with Entangling Spirits that deals high stagger, but most importantly it apply Hiatus that will reduce target resistance to necrotic damage, and we deal a lot of necrotic damage with this build, so pretty nice stuff too if you want to deal damage with your companions. If you're using Harding or Lucanus, make sure to have this enhanced damage all the time. Adrenaline Rush is great stuff, but my go-to will be something like Bilara and Neve, because they can have this time slow ability leveled like this, and we will be able to cast our abilities completely for free from the start of this time slow, and also replenish will be auto-casted when we are at low health, just in case. So Bilara and Emmerich will be great combination, and basically Bilara will have concentration bow that you can buy in early locations, and attack my target will apply vulnerability to electric damage, while Emmerich got same for Hermetic Pendulum weapon that will apply necrotic damage, resist vulnerability, and enemies will take a lot more damage from your damage over time effects. So it's time to demonstrate you how this build looks in a fight. So let's slow down time, and we can cast our spell completely for free one time. Second cast will be not free, and as you can see we got a large amount of damage over time on enemies, and just look how they're being destroyed basically by themselves. So we are healing every instance of damage dealt, and that's how we play. We just inflict bleeding, we inflict necrotic, we inflict a lot of stuff, we can heal ourselves and inflict siphon at the same time, and basically we inflicting large and crazy amount of extra damage over time effects. That's it basically. That's pretty crazy. These guys are really like not very hard to deal with. So let's find enemies with higher health, and here we are, enemies with higher health. That's how we fight versus them. So we can basically slow down time first. Let's do it, and then we are trying to attack our target. So by attacking our target, it will increase vulnerability to necrotic damage, it will deal lightning vulnerability to this enemy when Bilara will start to attack, and we can start again with chain lightning, for example. So let's do it like that. Now as you can see he got already bleeding, shocked, and some sort of vulnerability. So we instantly doing corrupted ground to deal even more necrosis damage, and here we are. This guy got even more stacks, he is also weakened, and we hitting Dark Squall. It will instantly deal extra stacks on this guy. So extra stacks, and now you see Now you see how many stacks of damage over time effects on this guy. This is pretty crazy. We can also hit one more chain lightning to inflict even more surf shock, come close, cast this stuff and inflict our siphon condition. And now he is basically done. So completely Warlock damage over time effects, like mass insane stuff. It's easy to get away from enemies. You can just go in the block condition. You can press your charge button if you wish to, and basically watch how your enemies is destroyed. Pretty fun and really unique build for you to play in Dragon Age Veilguard. And if you're liking this damage over time effects, you actually can play like this. You can inflict them and just run around, continue your quest, open chests, while enemies is falling around and giving you experience. I really hope you enjoyed this build and you will have blast playing it in Dragon Age Veilguard. Have a nice day and see you in the next videos.